The Selfie Rant. Hey guys, Culture here. If you've clicked on this video, then you already know it's going to be all about selfies. That means you have no one but yourself to blame for wasting the next several minutes of your life listening to someone get angry about them. Ah yes, selfies. The only way people in the 21st century can capture their creativity. Who cares about all those old-fashioned ways to express yourself, like writing, drawing, painting, sculpting, crafting, acting, singing, dancing, and talking? Let's instead just boil it down to one art form, the selfie. The selfie allows us to capture everything about ourselves. Well, everything that's skin deep at least. And I mean, who cares about anything deeper than that? Your emotions, personality, thoughts, aspirations, fears? Stuff it. Just give me that beautiful face. Actually, you know what? No, don't even give me that. Obscure your face with filters like a dog tongue or a flower crown with fairies flitting about you. As you may have been able to guess by now, I'm anti-selfie. And I'll admit that it's in large part due to the fact that I personally hate taking pictures of myself. It's not a self-esteem issue or anything. In fact, if anything, I'd say I have a little bit too much self-love. I didn't mean it like that. I just meant clearly I don't mind expressing my opinions or listening to my own voice or even seeing myself in pictures with other people. It's that the idea of taking a picture just of yourself seems kind of conceited, narcissistic even. Now let's be fair here. There are quite a few legitimate reasons to take a picture of yourself. Maybe you're traveling and want memories to look back on. Maybe you're exchanging pics with a friend on Snapchat. I'm totally cool with that. I'm not saying we shouldn't be taking pictures of ourselves, but rather that we should do so in moderation. It's like junk food and candy. Eat some occasionally. Treat yourself every once in a while or feel free to skip cooking for a night. But if you're doing that every day, it'll be unhealthy, unsustainable. I feel like selfies work in much the same way. Where one might take a picture of themselves for their profile picture on Facebook, the excessive level sees people spamming Facebook with selfies of them lying in bed, eating food, and generally doing uninteresting things. Then in 2010 there came Instagram. Instagram is the true double-edged sword for me to fight this battle against selfies with. On one hand, it relegates the effortless pastime of self-photography to its own designated area, where the self-obsessed can exhibit shots to like-minded individuals. This way, my Facebook feed is no longer clogged up by selfies, and is instead densely packed with clickbait articles about my favorite TV shows. Small steps, people. Small steps. On the other hand, however, it provides a breeding ground for selfie culture that, if left unchecked, will eventually bleed back into mainstream culture. It's like if I came across a slice of cheese left out on the kitchen table, presumably by Crash, and decided to chuck it in the fridge so I didn't have to look at it anymore. Over time it would grow mold, rot, and start to stink. Putting the cheese in the fridge didn't really fix the problem, it just delayed the inevitable consequences. So how can this problem be permanently fixed? Well, in the case of the cheese, I'd just tell Crash to clean up after himself for the 1000th time. And I suppose that's what I'm kind of trying to do here, to voice my opinion, to convince other people that selfies are bad. But are they really? Let's drill down deep into my psyche to figure out why I don't like selfies. Selfies are self-promoting, self-aggrandizing, and self-centered in the most literal terms. But is that bad? I mean, when you're going for a job, is it a bad thing to put your best foot forward, to give people a good impression? No, of course not. So why is it bad to do so in a social setting? I believe that it's because selfies set a precedent of valuing oneself based on shallow properties. See, in an interview, you're selling your work ethic, your skills, and your ability to excel. Well, unless you're on the casting couch. These are all virtues we hope to improve upon, and that make us better people both in and out of the workplace. This is not the case with selfies, however. In the worst case scenario, selfies promote simple physical attractiveness or an inclination towards risk-taking behaviors as desirable qualities. Put more simply, which selfies get your views when you're scrolling through Instagram? Probably hot people and people who are at the top of a cliff or doing something stupid. When public perception is that this type of content gets views, and views are equated with self-worth, then of course the logical conclusion is that we ourselves must generate this content to earn respect, admiration, or even just acknowledgement from other people. In the case of attractive people starring in selfies, this means we feel we must improve our own appearance. There are several ways to improve your appearance. Start working out, eat healthier, but those require effort, and it's human nature to take the lazy alternative. So what do? We put filters on pictures and cake on makeup to hide skin blemishes. We selectively choose pictures in which we deem ourselves attractive enough to post. If we have enough money, we might get cosmetic surgery to alter our appearance. Maybe we even choose to avoid that culture altogether by setting ourselves in opposition to it, calling down people who pride themselves on their appearance. Now let's be fair. Selfies didn't start this issue. Physical comparison of ourselves to others and people shown in the media is inevitable. But selfies have kicked this paranoia up to the next level, just like how online chat rooms and social media increase the avenues for bullies to exact their misguided judgments and insults. In response to this, as a defense against this, we now have a new generation who embraces individuality and decries people who value shallow aesthetics over substance of character. Or at least that's what they say. But have we really changed? Maybe on a logical level, we've grown an awareness of the disconnect between beauty and self-worth, but I still believe that we make many of our day-to-day decisions based on attractiveness. We can debate all day how important attractiveness should be when making a decision, but it's outside the scope of this video. Suffice to say for now that we shouldn't solely make our decisions based upon physical appearance, yet selfie culture predicates that self-worth be intrinsically tied to beauty. Or handsomeness, whatever you want to call it. How about risk-taking behaviors? I'm talking about people traveling, scuba diving, rock climbing, skydiving, bungee jumping. Why do things like that appeal to us in selfies? Think about what you're doing when you're scrolling through pictures. You're probably on the train to school or work. Maybe it's late at night at home, but whatever it is you're doing, it's boring. So when you see your friends or celebrities getting up to some crazy antics, you naturally wish you could be doing the same thing. This instills a frustration in us that we aren't in that situation, and a resentment towards the people posting the selfie for presumably rubbing it in our face. Of course, that's not what's really happening. The person is posting it because it's a genuinely fun time for them, and they want to share that with the people they know. Same thing goes for pictures at a party. It can be annoying seeing someone having such a great time if you're stuck doing homework. In that way, selfies end up being this positive outlet for the poster, but a negative stimulus for the viewer. But hey, now I'm blaming the selfie for something it can't control. It's not the selfie's fault if we feel dissatisfied with our current situation. It's not the selfie's fault if we feel insecure about our appearance, and it's not the selfie's fault if we feel incomplete, unfulfilled, or unable to achieve happiness. In fact, one might mount the argument that we could treat the selfie as a kind of mirror. Instead of self-obsession, the selfie could be used for self-reflection. Think of it this way. You see a selfie of someone traveling in Amsterdam, and it makes you feel annoyed. Why? Perhaps because you wish you could travel as well. What action can you take to feel better? Maybe you could make plans to travel yourself, or to save up enough money that you can travel. What if the issue is deeper than that? Maybe it's not necessarily that you want to travel, but rather that you want to escape your routine and experience something new. You could pick up a new hobby, meet some new people, or make an effort to go out somewhere you haven't been before. By looking at other people's selfies, you can learn something about yourself from your reaction to them. Sounds great, right? Selfies are now a great therapeutic tool to reveal your own issues. Rant over. Please, as if. Here's the issue. Of course people look happy in selfies. Selfies are an artificially constructed moment in time designed to express contentment or excitement or some other positive emotion. It doesn't mean that person wasn't necessarily happy in that moment, but rather that it excludes all the negatives that are happening in the rest of their lives. It's misleading. It's a warped mirror, not a true reflection of that person's life status. To chase the happiness we see in those pictures is to chase an illusion created in a single frame. Now hold on, if I'm going to criticize selfies for falsely representing reality, then what about group photos? A family picture at Christmas time, or a picture with friends at a birthday party? Why aren't these scenarios just as fake? Well, they definitely can be phony, but there's a key element that mitigates the phoniness. Group consensus. The emotions of the group are averaged out and more accurately represent the situation. It's like how if you ask a group of non-educated people a question, they generally guess the correct answer by consensus. In the same way, it's hard to disguise the emotions of a situation with such a large group. Now okay, that's a nice logical way for me to express my distaste for selfies, but if I'm being honest, there's another reason I hate them. They're just boring. Aren't they? Is it just me? They're banal, without substance, repetitive, and I just don't get them. Sure, they can be great memories, but do we really need to take so goddamn many of them? My fear is that the reason we take so many is some kind of self-affirmation, a way of saying, I was here, a desperate bid to prove that we exist, that we matter. I think the worst reason to take a selfie is just to get attention. Like a screaming child, but without the excuse of age. More like standing in the middle of a crowd with a picture of yourself on a placard, insisting people tell you they like your picture. It's in this sense that I feel selfies can truly corrupt us. They can make us attention mongers who trade likes with one another to gain a sense of satisfaction. It's external validation, a feeling we all need. But external validation shouldn't be our only means of evaluating ourselves. We should develop an internal barometer to inform us if we're doing the right thing, pursuing the right goals. At its worst, I think selfies disrupt this barometer for some people to such a degree that they need other people to tell them if they're happy. External validation is fine, but gain it from people close to you, people who know you well and love you, people who have your best interest at heart. Do I think the world would be better without the proliferation of selfies? Yeah, absolutely. Is it particularly useful to pretend as though we exist in a world where selfies might ever lose popularity? No. Instead, I think it's important to stress to people the ways in which this social media tool can affect us psychologically. In the same way that kids are now learning how to deal with cyberbullying, we should now be taking a look at the other luxuries that the internet and advanced camera technology have afforded us, and rationalize these as well. We can't stop ourselves from seeing selfies, but we can change how they affect our mood. From the other side of the issue, think about why you post selfies. Are you doing it because you're having a great time and want to share it with your friends? Great, go ahead. But are you doing it to make someone jealous? To get attention? To see how many people think your new bikini looks good? Not that I've ever done that or anything. If these are the reasons, maybe don't bother posting it. I'll admit, social media isn't my thing, so I might be missing the point entirely. I'd love to hear why you guys do or don't post selfies, so as always, please vent in the comments section below. If you enjoy what we do here at CultureCrash, please consider supporting the show via our Patreon, where we have a bunch of awesome rewards, or by checking out our online store. All links are in the description below.
Follow CultureCrash on social media!